Hey guys, it's MJ from I UNPLUG. So today I want to talk about, there's going to be more and more talk about the increase of compassion on the planet. And I want to share with you guys my empathic perspective, having been, doing this manifestation law of attraction work for, well, really since I was a teenager. And then increasingly with greater conscious awareness in the last sort of 8 years. And um, and then more recently, within this transition of the last 8 years, really recognizing and being able to call out, as it were, narcissistic and or just like passive aggressive behavior. And by that I mean people who are never honest about how they feel, or they're not ever responsible for how they feel, versus the empath or self-responsible creator endeavoring to like own and transform all of their emotions, which is what the Fearless Life Guide talks about. So for someone like me who ended up writing this book because this is my way of being, this is my perspective, at some point when it came to like transformation, I realized, if I'm feeling something, I'm feeling something. I can't just keep going around blaming everybody else for how I feel. So I've got to integrate all these feelings. So I started doing that work very consciously, like 7, 8 years ago. All these years later, I'm realizing for a lot of us empaths, that's just how we are. That's just how it has been, as in the way we've been able to keep going is by withdrawing and processing all of this depth and emotional field. And then also like part of our awareness is the fact that we go really deep into those emotions and like noodle with them and reflect on them and like check in with ourselves and make sure that we're acting in balanced ways and all of that kind of stuff. And so in these recent few years, having witnessed and seen more clearly the other tendency, which is the narcissistic tendency, people would call it, or the passive aggressive thing, which is, to me, emotionally disconnected people for whatever reason that don't get that piece, that don't get that their emotions are their own and their own story and their own backlog, that their reactivity doesn't necessarily warrant the truth of the situation. And yet what happens, because they're not emotionally responsible, so if people behave in ways that trigger their emotions, they're then going on the attack. How dare you, how da 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 da. And when it gets covert and ugly is when people start lying, manipulating, and like getting other people involved and creating this whole convoluted story. So and one thing I want to make out pretty clear when I talk about these behaviors, and that was something that Heath mentioned as well, whereby, remember, it's the behavior that we're looking at. We're not attacking a person, because I want to highlight, as someone who's like, am I a highly sensitive empath? I am most certain that I have two exhibited narcissistic behavioral tendencies. So let us just be clear about that. This is not some witch hunt on people who don't feel their emotions and people who are incapable of blah, blah, blah. I'm not here to pin people into their behavior. I'm not here to slam anybody, including the people that I feel I may have been oppressed or lied to or da 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 da. I really am thankful, because I recognize the polarity of all of my experiences, and I can see increasingly clearly why I would have invited that in. I I I believe it's relevant to the path. I believe, hey, device. Yeah, I have too. Yeah. It's like parallel timelines. I feel like some of you all. Does that make sense? Not really. But I do get that sense for some of the resonant connections here, that it's like we've been living parallel timelines. And yet I'm aware that it's because of our awareness. We've had to put ourselves in certain mass collective frequencies, because that's what we're breaking patterning from. Like, as in, any of us you know, for whatever reason, I was guided to the UK and have lived in London, in Scotland and Liverpool, and then got guided down to the Midlands and then down south. Last year, I was commuting back and forth all the southwest to the southeast, back and forth, like sometimes multiple times a week. So I truly feel that our energy is specifically guided to certain vortexual areas for that work that we're meant to do. Again, this stuff is invisible. It's not obvious, like the stuff that I'm talking about, but it's happening in the quantum field. We're essentially downloading our inner eye manifestation. We're downloading like the divine eye manifestation via the beingness that we are, and continuously having to like navigate blind, essentially, which is super fun. Okay. So this is something regarding discernment, and this is also such a thing for me in again dealing with some of this yes, it is the divine sight. Genius. This is again dealing with I guess you could just say less emotionally connected people, right? Rather than having to constantly slam some nasty label on people. So there's a difference between empathy and sensitivity, and there's a difference between compassion and what I would put more into like sympathy or pity. Sympathy or pity to me comes from a place of guilt and thus worry. And this is something I would have experienced throughout my life at different times, where people extended this sense of care, but that's not what it felt like to me. And there's often this sort of, oh my God, I feel so bad for them, or like, whoa. And okay, you gotta bear with me here in the discernment process. It's that's guilt. And there again, if you noodle in, why do we feel guilty when we see certain things? And that, again, is worth sitting with guilt, sitting with worry. Because I can firmly say, as somebody who has discerned and worked with these subtleties, there is a difference. Compassion is empowered, guilt is not. Passion is empowered, worry is not. And I say that with this like, because I think about some of these people I've attracted who are like, I want you to do this, or you know, you're gonna blah 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 blah, and then as things unfold, you know, and this would be after publishing a book or after having this awareness and thinking that everybody knows what I'm talking about, and because I think they know what I'm talking about, I assume they're doing all this inner work. And then it turns out, after butting my head against a wall and trying so fucking damn hard to get through, it turns out that this person was never compassionate and never truly in support of the work I was doing. They felt guilty and were worried about me. Now, if you're worried about someone, you have to understand that you're actually keeping them in this disempowered place. Like, why would you worry about somebody? Because you're in fear that they're incapable of surviving in the world, and or what that really comes from is your fear of losing them, and so you try to hold on, but deep down inside you feel guilty. So this is what's happening in my reality right now, and it's almost borderline freaking me out. It's like the veils and how you can see how and where and why people are doing what they're doing and where they're coming from. People that have been around my life for a little bit longer, I can now basically feel when they're acting out of guilt. And here's the interesting thing. I'm not even aware of what they've done. But it could be that they're gossiping. It could be that, they're just having nasty thoughts about you, and suddenly they're going, oh, I feel kind of bad, or yada, yada, yada. And then they say something or send a message or do something, and you can feel that they're not doing that for any kind of benefit toward you. They're doing it to absolve their own guilt, rather than looking at why they're getting these guilty trigger patterns all the time. Just continue to placate the emotional, the discomfort, the uncomfortable emotional trigger patterns, right? And I talk about the pain body, as far as Eckhart Tolle's languages. The pain body is our reptilian mind. The pain body really is, thanks, Alf. That's like a really nice. The laser eyes, but this is something also like I am aware of, and only since this huge leap in transformation and speaking with and working with other empaths, is that it really is an empathic thing. You're seeing through these veils and picking up on the energies, like finally speaking with other empaths, you're like, oh my God, right. Like we would sit there and have people would be having conversation, and we'd be there having this this experience beyond the veil, feeling into where people are coming from, hence this weird sense of the ego. And those of us who, like, for someone like me, and like getting into the acting business, like no chance of surviving there. Because for me, it was like all I could feel was desperation. When you go to auditions, everyone's just there like insecure and desperate for the most part. That's not always the case, okay? And in fairness, like I've met genuine, I want to say, what's the word? What's that word for artists? No. Could it be? Is it bohemians or like thespians? That's the word. I have met, they're more rare than just the dime a dozen people who like, I want to be an actress. With thespians, real theatrical people, they're to me a little bit different than like the cattle call, everyone's working out their kitty wounds trying to please their parents, being famous, that, and so I would have been in that cattle call. And once I realized that essentially you have to prostitute yourself, i.e. sell your soul, i.e. do whatever it takes to get by as an actor, and then all this starving artist bullshit, I was like, well, that sucks. Plus, I didn't like the feeling of having to prostitute myself for money, which is why I never really was able to stick to any job. Except for yoga meditation, because it aligned with my heart and my soul. And now this. Hey, Kurt, how are you, my friend? Oh, I just realized this is live. Yeah. Dude, hilarious. That's really funny. Feedback resonance. That you're having this recognition as I am, like in this moment, and that I'm having a thing of like, and then you're somewhere in the world like watching this, and I'm like, oh my God, it's true, it's happening now. How relevant is that? Like, it's all happening now. It's like, this is again part of my weird brain, is like throughout my life when people just ask the simple question, hey, what's happening? I'm like, I know, like, what is actually happening? And they're like, I'm like, sorry, I just trip myself out like regularly. So I'm like, what is life? Yeah, okay, so compassion is this like open-hearted, expansive, in this moment, joyful laughing. No. To me, compassion is this empathic unity place. I don't feel, and I can honestly say that it's only pretty recent that I'm feeling into the discernment of some of these energies, because we just throw them down and I think we all expect one another to just get it. Like, what the fuck does compassion mean? I don't know. I care about people. Is that what it is? Or and then why do I put compassion and guilt and worry together? Because compassion is an optimal feeling. To me, compassion, it's like holding all of our humanity and the passion that is that humanity, holding that in an embrace. Because there's darkness and enslavement and shittiness, and like, it's my love that has compassion. And my love doesn't worry about its children. My love sees the children empowered. My love sees that even in the darkest hour, that being, that creature, that expression will find its way to the light. That is compassion, holding it all in this grace, right? In this love, not ooh, you know, that kind of worry and guilty. I don't like it. I don't want to have to look at it. Like, that's disgusting. As in, have compassion. Have compassion for the aspects of ourselves, i.e., other emotion, that we have been told to disgrace, that we've been told to look down upon, that we've been told or taught or felt in ourselves didn't warrant our love. You know, it's easy enough to love certain things. It's quite another for us to ask ourselves to love the ugliest aspects of ourselves and have compassion for ourselves. Program to feel, elaborate. Where is this coming from? Joyful laughing, program to feel. You're responding to something. I feel surfing some anger about lack of participation. I feel that, Kurt. I feel really resonant with that. And the tiredness. I'm getting feedback from quite a few different people, different pockets of the world as well, that just are still getting these almost waves of like, I'm up, and then I'm back, I'm sleeping again, or I'm tired again, or the lethargy, the energies are lethargic and quite heavy. What was the other bit of that? Pardon me. Pardon me. Also surfing some anger about lack of participation. Funny, I'm not having hardcore anger come up, but I sometimes get like this resentment feeling. I have like these feelings of resentment, like just because I've like, maybe some of you guys will resonate with this, but like I sometimes still get the residue of like, I feel like I've just been fucking left out of everything my whole life. Like this, I was never fitting in here, and I did it. And so when I see groups of people or I still have sometimes this bit of be like, great, good for you guys. Wow, look at you, you're all happy and you fucking found each other. And then I have to remember that I also have a community online, and like, it is like, stop feeling guilty for Molly or whatever. And I mix it with humor to make light of it. Yeah, you gotta, because we're all like the shittiest of the shits, but we're also the most awesome of the most high. You know, like, like. Anyway, I'll stop. Hey, tree hugger, I want to read your comment. Compassion uplifts, enlightens, empowers another. Right, exactly. Not pity, which might be trying to fix, or as you said, from guilt. Yeah, and I also like, for me, the more I felt empowered in my own personal life, people that were trying to tell me how compassionate they were or how sensitive they were, and I started to get this like anger. For me, a lot of times our anger is actually the entanglement cords that where we've given power away. So like every entity, anything externally that I've given my power to, when I start to realize it has my power, I usually get like, have anger and then like a wound that has to heal. So yeah, so like certain people who like, again, were like manipulation because they wanted me around, and kept being like, of course I support you, of course. And I was like, what the fuck, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel like support. No, they felt they were worried. Like, oh, poor, and no shit, because they're, because I'm being entrapped, essentially, right? And then you try to put it off as, I'm so concerned for you, or I care so much for you. And I'm like, but do you? Or is that care actually about you? Right? And it's just really fascinating to me. And I realize that what the empath is very capable of is feeling in to the, like, the point of attraction, I want to say, but that's not the right word, or expression. I'm kind of skipping subject matter a little bit here. It's regarding the empathic sensitivity in the biofeedback resonance. and how we really are bridging into this 5-dimensional form of communication now, more tangibly, even in our personal relationships. So a lot of us, I imagine, I shan't assume, but for some reason, I kind of imagine a lot of you guys are really resonant with my like my personal way of being, as far as being empathic and introvert, and having a lot of time on my own to process and reflect and discern and blah. Telepathy, yes, for sure. This is absolutely on the cards for us. As part of the bridging work, of course, as we know, is our sensitization to the intuitive capacity and or the infinite intelligence of our beingness. So the practice of listening with the entire energy field versus just listening with your head. This is part of how we deconstruct and break free from the programming that's laced in the language. Once we start to biofeedback from the heart space is when we start to communicate in different light codes. And this is how we begin to sort of shatter the programming and the illusions of from within the self and then for those around us, because we biofeedback those codes. As in, usually what we'll find are the people that don't get it, or the people who are still too limited. They'll try to dominate and control. What are what are you actually talking about? What are you actually saying? What are you, because they're having cognitive dissonance. They're being triggered in discomfort because the energy code is basically triggering their programming, right? It's like you're light, right? Your interference with my patterning is uncomfortable. That's pretty much what is going on, right? Oh, cool. Elf herself. So Elf is residing in an aspect of self in 7D with no words. Yeah, for sure. Well, and it's important for the humanity to recognize how interwoven our own personal enslavement is with the language that we've been indoctrinated with. Telepathy. I've never heard of that. But I'm not gonna lie, Alf. I do feel like this community, and there's one of you specifically, but there's a couple of you that we've already been in discussion about noodling and coming up with exercises to hone and develop telepathy as a practice. So practice the accuracy of the telepathic communication, learning to differentiate the intuition and the mind. Honestly, for you, Divine Sight, if I can reflect back to like where I was continually getting to, I'm like, you're intuitive. It's almost always intuitive, and like it's the good stuff. And because I used to have people manipulate me when I was pretty certain my intuition was guiding me in a certain direction, and then people would manipulate me and be like, no, 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 Molly. You need to da da da. That's just fear. That's just resistance. And I like sit in and be like, I'm pretty sure it's not. And I'm pretty sure actually you're just trying to fucking control me because you don't like what my fucking intuition is guiding me, because it serves you in your business or your ego or whatever. If you resonate with me, it's likely that you're like almost 99 fucking percent in your intuitive capacity, and that the rest, anything that messes with you, anything that creates doubt, anything that fucking that's your mind. That's your ego mind. That's your fucking patterned mind. Flow, beingness, presence, knowingness. That's intuition. And we are that. We are that. Is this is why it's also like paradoxical. We know the truth. We've just been so fucking hardline programmed to deny it. And each leap we make, we realize, I knew it all along. And I know that. I've been there. I've been in that. Well, it's difficult. Da, 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 da. Yeah, but no. And this is what I mean, you guys, is that this community, it's not like we're trying to be telepathic. This is what synchronicity is. This is what they're talking about the amplification, the rising into the living of the 5D. is that we are having conversations with each other, just in the astral planes, in the invisible realms. We just are. We just are. Otherwise, it's like we wouldn't be fighting each other. And plus, in a sense, you guys, we have to understand that we've been having conversations all along, eternally. Like since whenever we all made our entrance point into this realm, into the space-time continuum portal, I'm like, whenever we entered it, many of us would have been in I always see like the fucking galactic council thing, you know, like the big, and like we're all there like discussing what's going on down here. and it's only been like the last few years where that's anchored for a lot of us, as in we've recognized that's kind of higher mind operations situations, but we're all there having like serious meetings about the operations that are going on down here, and we have to keep which is why for a lot of us we genuinely don't have this attachment to earth, this attachment to like having stuff and like da da da. We're not earthlings. I don't like, I this shit fucking even triggers me, like this talking this stuff, because it's not where I sit naturally. You know, I'm not somebody who has direct contact with what humans would perceive as alien life. I just also really resonate with infinity and the cosmos, and I know that I'm a cosmic traveler. So it's like Earth, yay. And yet, if what I recognize is the compassion for the earth and the compassion for beings who have been dwelling here for longer cycles than I. That's all. And thus, they're more attached. They're more deeply under the veil because they've just come back over and over and over again, and they're convoluted in the enslavement. You know, and that's part of the cosmic connection to the dark. That's part of being able to, in that mother love heart space, be in love and open to even the dark. Earth is the viewing point. Explain that more, Alf. I'm interested about that. So I just looked over at the cards and I feel like pulling a card for us. So I'm really glad that you guys, these are subtle noodles when I go into the emotion, the subtlety of emotional awareness. Yeah, because this is the stuff that, you know, we can express and affirm back to one another that, right, yeah, that's a subtlety, you know, that's a thing. That's not necessarily legit. Ooh. King and Queen of Cups. And then Elf, thank you. Elf, thank you for the clarity there. Appreciate it. I feel you now. Yes, I agree. Oh gosh, I just got this little series of things and I was like, I'm really looking forward to like hanging out, basically, you know, being around one another, just for the support. So I got my Osho cards out, and you know what's really fucking crazy? I have had these cards since 2013 or before. They're expensive. They're actually like pricey well, more than I thought I'd pay for like a deck of cards, but they're beautiful cards. And I got to remind you guys that I'm not following any kind of fucking form or tradition here. I'm just going intuish vibe-ish. So we're June 27th, and we've got a beautiful loving collective here of divinity path workers, earth workers, light workers, healers, guides, teachers. Did I say this? I don't know. So I've had my Osho cards for like fucking, yeah, what, 6 years? And meet Elf, and I think that's why I kind of just went for it, because me too. like my favorite readers are like intuish, vibrashe, and whereas I start to feel stifled if the readers are like too traditional and or by the book. It's like going to yoga classes or any class for that matter where the teacher's like following their plan. I'm like, I'm out. I'm like, you're not here with me. Be here with me. So what I was gonna say, after 6 years of having these Osho cards, could I tell you something? I have never in my life seen this card, but look how pretty it is. My friend wrote a book on it. What? What? What did your friend write a book on? I don't know what I was saying. So you're going to have to remind me. Oh my god, I love it. Oh really, Chris? Oh my god, I love. Do you want to send me the link? Share the link with our group here? Nobody puts baby in a corner. Jim straight. Jim straight. Oh. So, well, this is pretty obvious. This I love intuish. I just yeah, and I love how the cards help me with the people pleasing stuff. It's just incredible because you can't, because they don't lie, and the intuition just comes up with what it comes up with, right? And for me, what's interesting is that in a sense the cards just make it easier because you're not having to hold space for the people you're working with in the same way. So I got to say, I'm really, really pleased with this service. It's energetically quite liberating for me. I don't know, are any of you guys life coaches? I know that you run a studio and do the meditation, but with the coaching, I find it really fascinating because hence your management of time and people you're working with at any given time, because there has to be this sort of the ability to hold space in the duration of however long you're working with people. Which then I guess for me that just makes sense as far as why we price things the way we do, because for our personal working lives certain things feel really effortless and comfortable, and then other things we know require a greater capacity and awareness, and so we anyway blah 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 blah. Basically I'm just excited to be stepping into my tarot readings because I really did not ever see this coming. It just plopped out. Just plopped out of my heart. Okay. So there is a connection, and this is power couple vibrashe, because we have lovers, and then we have king and queen. Sorry, we have king of swords, and then we have queen of cups reversed, and we have a courage card as well. So let me just noodle and feel into our messages for today, and I do think I'll do these daily readings. Oh, perfect. Thank you, Chris. Close to such at many times in my life. Hey, Jazz, a tennis pro teacher. Hey, one hot minute. How are you? Greetings and salutations. I love intuish. Me too. It's like that's my new expression now. Like intuish reigns supreme. I'm like, I know that we can go back and forth forever, but oh, and that was an insight I had probably within the last 24 hours, is just this visceral tingle goosebump worthy realization of like, oh my gosh, I've done it. Like I did what I wrote in my book as far as like just merging with your intuition. Like there is no separation vibration. I'm just like, there's only flow. Not too shabby here. No. So most of the nuggets around the actual topic share today, compassion versus guilt and worry, is in the beginning. And then we just noodled with it, those of us that were here, whilst discerning the subtlety of emotional frequency and like point of attraction and intention and stuff. I know. And then yeah, for sure, right? How funny. Hey AB. And then Chris, that is powerful. Very cool. Well, and this has come up is because it's only that, you know, in these last, what, 3 days that I've shared the tarot, and quite a few people, yeah, it's just been like, so there. And it's, I guess I just lost my train of thought, but I'm gonna go back to the cards and share what our messages are for today. So the King of Swords and the Queen of Cups, this definitely feels like a couple, but the couple's like a little bit on the rocks. Hence, like, you got to have courage. And for some reason, I'm feeling like, because this has like all these cracks in it, I feel like you might need to be taking like a bit of a separation time from the couple, and or you're totally in separation, or you've had a divorce. Really? Cool. See, this is what I feel like, because this is, you know how I was saying about having mathematical, like, geometric feelings of, it's like your geometry sliding into place. Even when the cards, when I started to practice, I could feel how the cards were shaping the intuitive capacity, but I knew that that was the cards communicating to intuition to translate the message. It's just vibrashe, you guys. It's just vibration. Such a dork. Such a dork. Well, with great love and compassion, but still, total nerd. Okay. So yeah, you're off. This is kind of a power couple, but yes, you both. Stop it. Stop it. You're just gonna make my ego way too big. And then I almost want to cry, be like, I'm not even sure if that's possible for empaths. Although a lot of people would put, anyway, shh. Yeah, like, dun, 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 that feels like it's all split up. I'm going to look a little bit more closely at the energy of these cards, though. The King of Swords feels like a disconnected masculine energy. But again, for this community, it could be male or female. I'm starting to realize that legit 100% for us feminine or female empaths, as the empathic community rises, it'll be like divine partnership of men and women who are also both empaths, rather than the men over there learning a whole bunch of crazy shit from controlling and abusive women. Women over here learning all this empathic shit from controlling and abusive men, and then all the empaths coming together being like, whoa, what the fuck? And then all the passive aggressive narcissistic people either start triggering each other into healing, or who knows, it's not our concern anymore. So straight away, this energy feels like hard and doesn't move and just doesn't budge, has no compassion, is like, this is how it is. And this beautiful, lovely, compassionate, giving, and generous Queen of Cups has just been like, I have nothing left. I have nothing left. It's like every cup of water. Think about it, a cup and a knife. Every cup of water for, I don't know how many years, 6 years, 8 years, 6 months, 8 months. There's certainly, there is an extended sense of time. This Queen of Cups has been offering and offering and offering, and this fucking King of Swords has literally just been like cutting her water offers in half, or like just ignoring them. And like, look at how, again, if you're not thinking she's looking at some fancy thing, the way she's looking down, she looks so sad. She's so sad to have to let go of this sword. I think there was a time when they really were the power couple, that they fell in love. But it feels like this queen energy, this generous, loving, and emotional, nurturing character, whether that's you or the other person, is mourning and having to let go. I think this is the end of a relationship, a divorce. I'm almost wanting, because it's a general reading, to say that it just really could be the ending of a cycle, which we all know that that's a pretty huge thing. Oops, wrong deck. And then we have Courage and Lovers. And this, again, it's beautiful, because it's like, despite the cracks of our past, or despite the cracks in our apparent life or relationship, the flower is still gonna grow. And I love this because this green is like the divine green to me. It's like, you know, it's not like forest green, heart chakra color. Heart chakra color is very much to me this sort of like this very bright green. And then it's the yellow. So I feel very much in this card that out of the loss of this dissolving relationship or years of, you know, emotional abuse, finally this flower is having the courage to rise into her or his divinity, because to me this is an expansion from the solar plexus into the heart center. And so we're moving that powerful energy and healing distortion of the lower three and rising our energy just very naturally, organically. Like the flower doesn't have to like try to get to the sun. It just opens and evolves and expands. And so we're moving from 3 to 4. We're moving from this sense of like I am, and that like I am other, I am one with all, that unity space of the heart. And yeah, we know this, it requires courage. We're a courageous bunch here for sure, because the beautiful thing is that then, and this was like a day reading, so I guess it's just for today, but then it's for like whenever people find it. There's no time specific, right? Thanks, Jazz. I would appreciate that, because then, well, then I'd probably make more money, and then I could just buy us a plot of land somewhere magical, and we can just frolic about and have an empathic nudist community. I don't know. But that's kind of the plan, really. Although, I mean, it just gets tiring because one doesn't necessarily also care about having stuff. So you're just like, oh yeah, make money. You're like, how can you just share love with people? Do do do, lovers. And again, this is kind of relevant. Have courage, my friends. Keep growing that beautiful flower of yours. It's such an exquisite thing, because look, there's like, you've got a little budding family. It's just sprouting. It's just sprouting. It's just you, but look, you've got a little baby. Your little baby is sprouting. And actually that's what's coming in. It's like an offering. I feel like by you standing in your light, by you growing through the cracks, as in whatever those other, this breakup or whatever, the ending of this cycle or the ending of toxic thinking or toxic people. And then you have courage. This makes me feel very much like some of you or some of us will have to be standing alone for a little bit, just to really like, this is this is me, and I'm strong regardless of how cracked my foundation is. Or I also see this foundation as regardless of how what's the word? But it's not a nice environment. You know what I mean? It's not for growing, you want like this moist soil, right? And yet here it's like cracked, hard concrete. So even in an environment that didn't lend itself to growth, this little piggy went all inhospitable. Thank you, Chris. You read my mind. You read my mind. Inhospitable environment for growth. And yet here we are. This looks like a pretty sturdy flower to me. Not allied. I love you guys. I love the typos as well. I see you guys. Divine sight. Of course you did. Like, of course you did. Look, and then you just manifested this because that was imprinted in your mind. Oh my, can't not stop Mother Nature. No, you can't. That green is the color of the being I always dream of. Yeah, that's the green of the color I had in my dream when I was 19, which fucked up my whole life, and now I'm here. Sort of, but you know, you guys know what I mean. I don't regret anything. This whole awakening journey is just weird, apparently. Like, I actually forget that there's that program out there and that everyone's still just like, must go to work and make money. I'm like, oh yeah. And then because the discernment emotion is getting so hardcore, like it's kind of polarity, isn't it? It's sort of like a beautiful thing, but also a curse. It's like having this awareness, you can basically totally like discern where people's lack is. I had a message from somebody where, and it was all very pleasant, but I could actually discern belittling via resentment. And yeah, this is wild. Just in a note, it's very subtle the way people deflect and or put down and or because of their shit, their insecurity, their what have you, and then they try to manipulate you. And I'm like, oh my god, this is just like laced in our human condition out of survival in a really corrupted system of control, basically. Yeah, 1 hot minute, exactamundo. Yeah, the flower's heart was so strong that it broke through to grow. Which, Elf, I feel like that is pretty much like, I want to say Shah, is that right? I feel like that flower heart so strong, like that really resonates with, like, I would say what a lot of us as empaths feel in the depth of those emotional storms that we go through fairly regularly. It's like each emotional storm is like that flower going, you're not going to take me down. I'm not going to let this take me under. I'm not going to not believe. That's kind of like all it is like crazy, annoying, stupid shit happening to your life. And just, yeah. And not getting twisted and bitter by it, basically. Cancel, clear, delete, reset, power on, pretty much. You know, like pretty much. So I just basically want to end it right there at the lovers. Also, because I all the beautiful colors, the purples and the reds and the green. It's just so beautiful. Banu, hope. You get that kind of flutter of hope versus the other, which I don't even pull that in really. I don't even see that anymore. Like, not like people who actually don't believe in this kind of stuff, you know. So why? Because I'm tired of people telling me I'm wrong. So you just stick to yourself. Keep your head down. Keep your head down and your heart open. Keep the imagination active, because I literally walk around in a bubble of light all day, every day. In my own imaginative capacity bubble of light. The majority of humanity doesn't see me. And I radiate the light for people, but it keeps me safe and it keeps me feeling really good and healthy and well. And it helps me feel like I'm bringing light to the earth as well, which is pretty much the only reason that we're here. It's the only thing that we're really doing. So it's like we're just the conduit energy. Hold the head high and shine bright. Yeah, we're the conduits that are bringing the frequencies to this realm. I love you guys. I love you so much. I hope that you're liking the readings. Feel free to book a video. I just quickly record them unlisted for you and then send them to your mailbox. So I'm loving the service. I've had like a few people already book them, which is a really good sign for me, because well, like any of us, we all just need to survive and love and share stuff. So I'm really happy to share more with you. You guys, I just have so much, I'm feeling quite like tenderness, and like we've hung out this morning, and like let's hang out and have a coffee, or shall we go to the lake and go canoeing or something today? I don't know. Maybe build a fire in the woods. Oh, and also Shah, also I saw your video with like the little bunny rabbit and the fireflies, and I was captivated for a long time. I couldn't tell you exactly where, but like yeah, kind of one of those experiences that's undescribable, but I felt like I was there. Like I felt like I was there on that grass watching the fireflies. It was like it was very much dusk, nighttime feeling. Anyway, you guys have a great day. Oh, namaste, my friends. I look forward to seeing you soon. Lots of love. Bye.